Hello and welcome. I'm Lee from Homeschool Heritage Hub, and you're tuning into our American History audiobook series. Today we're exploring American History Stories by Mara L. Pratt, Volume 1, from a collection of public domain books. We're thrilled you found this valuable resource. These classic texts offer a unique window into how American history has been understood and taught over time. As we journey through these pages together, we'll encounter perspectives that have shaped our nation's historical narrative. We at Homeschool Heritage Hub are offering you this audiobook absolutely free because we think everyone should have access to Mara L. Pratt's American History Stories Volume 1. However, we do offer paperback, Kindle, and audiobook versions through KDP. We've kept the original manuscript and illustrations and added, with the power of AI, chapter summaries, narration, comprehensive chapter questions, and new illustrations. The link is in the description below. Now, let's turn back the pages of time and dive into the rich tapestry of American history.
Chapter 2. Early Discoveries. Little indeed did the people of Europe know of this country across the water, or of the strange copper-colored people living here. Lately, there has been raised in Boston a monument in memory of Leif, the brave Northman or Norseman, who in the year 1000 sailed from his home in Iceland and came to the coast of America. The vessel in which this Norseman came was odd-looking enough. Sometimes it moved along by the aid of its sails, sometimes each man would take an oar and so help it to move over the water. The first land these hardy Norsemen found was flat and stony near the sea, but inland high mountains could be seen from the shore. This was Newfoundland. Then, on the Norsemen sailed farther south, pleased with the warmth of the sun and the green trees, the songbirds, and the rich fruits. At one place, supposed to be on the shores of Massachusetts or Rhode Island, one of their company found such delicious wild grapes, and in such abundance that Leif gave to the country the name of Vinland. So delightful was the climate, and so rich the fruits, that the little band built huts and planned to spend the winter in the beautiful Vinland. It was all very strange to them, the swiftly changing day and night, for in their own land they had only one long day and one long night in a year. Spring came, and Leif hastened back to Iceland to tell of the wonderful new land. Other Norsemen came, and later still, a Norwegian nobleman with his beautiful young wife, Gudfrida. A colony was formed, and the people lived very happily here for 3 years or more. Then, for some reason, the colony died out, and little is known of them except what has been found in old chronicles in Iceland. In Newport, Rhode Island, is a strange old tower which was once believed to have been built by these Norsemen. Certainly, it is old enough and strange enough, but as to the true story of the Norsemen in America, I suppose we shall never know it. They were a brave, sturdy people and very fond of adventures. No people were ever so brave upon the sea as these Norsemen, and it is a great pity we do not know all about them. These Northmen were the only Europeans who ever ventured far away from home. The people of the southern counties of Europe would look out across the sea and wonder, but they dared not venture out a great ways upon the ocean. In fact, the ships in those days were small and frail, hardly more seaworthy than a simple pleasure yacht today, and therefore very little had been learned of the oceans. There is, sailors of southern Europe would sometimes say, an island far out at sea, a beautiful sunny island with rich fruits and beautiful flowers and great purple mountains. Rich gems and gold and silver sparkle about its shores, and in the center, on a gentle slope of ground, stands the palace of the sea god. But although the southern sailors talked of it, and the poets sang of it, no one had ever seen this land. Sometimes on a clear day, standing upon the shores and looking away out to where the sky seemed to dip down and meet the earth, some imaginative person would think he saw the island and would call to his companions, but before they could come, behold, it always disappeared. There was living at this time a good man whom the people called Saint Brandon. He was always trying to help others to do what to him seemed right and good, and when he heard of this island, he with another good priest sailed away towards it, hoping to find an opportunity to help the people who might be living there. He never found the island, however, the Atlantis, as it was called, but he did find, so he said, another island, afterwards called the island of St. Brandon. But the wonderful part of the story is that even this island could never again be found. Whether St. Brandon was fond, like the other adventurers of his day, of telling a big story, or whether he did honestly find an island which by and by sank below the level of the water, as sea islands sometimes do sink, no one could ever tell. Once, in the history of Spain, there was a terrible war between the Moors and the Spaniards. 7 Spanish bishops, pursued by these Moors, took to their ships and sailed out upon the sea. Better by far drown than be overtaken by our cruel foe, said they, and they sailed out into the great sea, beyond all sight of land, into the very sunset, so they said. These bishops came at last upon an island, a beautiful, sunny island, rich in fruit and flowers and the most wonderful trees. Here they built 7 cities, each bishop placing himself at the head of his own city, and governing such natives as lived in his part of the island. By and by, when the cities were prosperous, the 7 bishops returned to Spain and told of their wonderful discovery. Strange to say, however, no one was ever able again to find this island, and no one has ever found it yet. Of one other island we must speak, and that is the island of Bimini. This island was not only rich and beautiful, but there was upon it a fountain of sparkling water, whose waters could restore youth and strength to the weakest and oldest of men. Such an island as that was certainly well worth searching for, and in 1512, long after Columbus had sailed to the New World, an old man, Ponce de Leon, sailed away in search of this wonderful fountain of youth. Remember, this was the childhood of the modern world, a time when wise old men and women would listen to stories that today only a baby could be made to believe. It does not seem possible that they believed these tales, yet they must really have thought them true, for the books they made in those days tell us so. And who knows, after all, that the things we believe today may not, hundreds of years later, seem just as strange to the people who will be living then.
And there you have it, history enthusiasts. We've reached the end of today's journey through America's past. I hope you enjoyed this chapter of American History Stories by Mara L. Pratt, Volume 1. As we've explored these public domain texts, you may have noticed language or viewpoints that differ from our modern perspective. These differences offer valuable insights into how our understanding of history has evolved over time. I encourage you to continue your exploration. Supplement what you've heard today with additional resources, whether through online searches, educational videos, or visits to your local library. History is a dialogue between the past and the present, and your engagement enriches that conversation. This is Lee from Homeschool Heritage Hub. Thank you for joining me on this historical adventure. If you're interested in more American history audiobooks, make sure to find us on our YouTube channel, Homeschool Heritage Hub. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and let's work together to understand our past and shape our future.